Hi guys, what is up? This is Maliha here, and today I have a very interesting tutorial video for you guys. So recently I had a template approved and published onto the Framer marketplace, and I am officially a Framer creator now, which feels really good. So I thought it would be so cool if I could create a tutorial where I show exactly how I built out the hero of my published template as well as the nav bar. And if you build alongside me and practice, not only is it going to help you really like build up your Framer skills, but I think it would be so valuable in terms of you would get to see things from a different POV. There are small little details that you really have to take care of when basically creating a template for the Framer marketplace. And so yeah, without any more yapping, let's just get right into the tutorial. Okay guys, so we are all good to start. Now before we can start, I would strongly encourage you to grab the project remix file down in the description box below, because I have already set the file up with all of the color styles and the text styles that we require, so that we don't have to spend any time doing that and we can focus on building right away. So inside of the file, you are going to see a home page and a starter page. So the home page is where I will be building, and the starter page is where you can build alongside me. So yes, without any more talking, let's just start building. So I'm just going to open up my project that we are going to try and replicate, just for reference, because I do not remember every single tiny detail such as spacing and padding and everything. So I'm going to be referencing this quite a lot so that we can build something accurate. So the very first thing that we are going to be building out is the nav bar. And I like to build out my nav bars and my footers with a layout template, and it is actually a requirement, a marketplace requirement, to do it this way if your website exceeds 5 pages. So yes, I just like to do this anyway, even if it's just a landing page, just because it's way more convenient for the user, in my opinion. So what we are going to do is select this main desktop breakpoint, and I am on the right panel. I'm just going to click on template, and I'm going to name this header, and then click enter. And then on this canvas is where we are going to be building out our header. So what I'm going to do is click F on my keyboard and draw a frame, and I'm going to call this nav bar, and I am going to click on layout on the right panel to turn this into a stack, and I am going to remove the gap, and I'm also going to remove the fill because we do not need it. And what I'm going to do next is hit F on my keyboard once again, and then inside of this nav bar frame I'm going to draw another frame, and then I'm going to turn this into width fill. And then I think for right now the height can be like 60, and then I'm again going to get rid of the fill, and then for the parent frame I'm just going to select it and then change the height to fit content, just like so. I think I'm going to make this a little bit taller. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is build out the logo. So I'm just going to hit T on my keyboard and then type in unicorn, and oh, I forgot, we have to turn this frame into a layout as well. And then also I'm going to name this frame nav content, because this is the frame where all of our content is going to be housed. So that looks good, and then I'm going to just select this text for the logo and then give it a style. I think this was actually 32 pixels, so let me get rid of this style. I did not apply like a style to this. I applied a size of 32 pixels, and although it is strongly encouraged that every single element in your template needs to be linked to a text or color style, I do believe that some things don't really have to be linked to a style at all. For example, here in my template, I have not linked this text, like this logo text, to any style, as you can see here. But yeah, I don't think that you strictly have to adhere to that rule. Anyways, so we have our text here, and I'm going to draw a little icon for the logo this way, and I'm holding the shift key while I draw a frame so that the proportions, the width and the height remain the same. And I'm also going to lock them on the right panel, and I'm going to give this a fill color of pink. And yep, that's it. And now I'm going to group these two together by making them a part of the same stack. So Control Alt and Enter. And then I'm going to change the width to fit content, and then I think the gap looks fine for now. And yep, that looks all right. I'm going to select the nav content, change the distribute to space between, and now we can start building out this unique menu that you see here, because when you click here on this menu button, this is what opens up. So let's build that out. So right here, what I'm going to do is draw a frame. Again, I'm holding down shift, and then I'm going to turn this into a layout, and I'm going to give this a fill color of blue. And what I'm going to do is slightly sorry, let me just unlock this. I'm going to slightly increase the height of this, and I'm going to call this menu. And what I'm going to do is I am going to increase the bottom right and bottom left radius of this, so maybe 32 and 32. Yep, that looks close enough. And then what I'm going to do is give this a border of black, so soft black, just like so. Yep. And what I'm going to do next is hit T on my keyboard and then type in ME, because we are going to be adding two separate text layers to this, ME and NU. So ME, let me just apply a style. Actually, no, I don't think any style is applied to this one as well. I think I have a manual size set here to 32. And then I'm going to change the color to, I think it was soft white, just like so. And then I am going to select this text layer, and then I'm going to Control D on my keyboard to create a duplicate of this. I'm going to change the direction of the stack to vertical, like so, and the gap is going to be 2 pixels. And I'm going to rewrite this to say NU. And then I'm going to select this main stack, the parent stack, and set the height to fit content, just like so. And I think the width was fixed. Let me just check real quick. Yep, the width is fixed at 70 pixels. And I am going to be adding bottom padding, so I'm going to add a bottom padding of 24, maybe that's too much. 16, yeah, 16, sorry, 12, and then the top would be 12 as well. And I think that looks close enough. Yeah, I think that looks good for now. Maybe, I don't know, I think it was 8. Yeah, that looks all right. So what I'm going to do is I am going to Control X this to cut this from here, and then I'm going to go inside of the nav content layer, and then I'm going to Control V it here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change nav content to height fit content so that it adapts to our newly added content. And yep, that looks all right. So we want this navigation bar to be a part of this layout template. So I'm going to Control X this entire thing from here, and then Control V it here. And then I'm going to change its position to fixed so that it always stays fixed to the canvas. So top pin 0, and then left and right pins should also be 0, 0, just like so. And you will notice an issue here that when we go to preview it, the content just sticks to both sides, and we don't really want that. because for instance, if somebody has like an enormously large monitor, we don't want the items to just like spread apart. So what we are going to do is we are going to click on nav content and then apply a max width at this level. So 1200 is fine, and we can also add left and right padding. So I'm going to add a left right padding of 24 pixels, and now as you can see, it looks perfectly fine and it's responding nicely. So the very next thing that I am going to be doing is we need to make sure that when somebody clicks on this menu button, this opens up, right? We want this fun little menu list to open up. So the way that I'm going to be doing this is I am going to be turning this menu button into a component. So Control-Alt-K on my keyboard and then hit enter. And what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be drawing like a frame for the menu items, and I'm going to change the fill to soft white, just like so. I'm going to call this menu, and then I'm going to change this into a layout, distribute start, and then I'm going to hit T on my keyboard and then type in our menu items. So I don't know what size it was. I think it was a manual size of 40 pixels. Yep, I'm pretty sure it was 40 pixels. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this text layer in a stack, and I am going to give it a top bottom padding of 4:4, I think. And I'm also going to give this a border of just the bottom border, so 0 0 0, and then just the bottom border remains of 1 pixel. This is our menu item, so I'm going to rename this to menu item. And then what I'm going to do is to make sure that whoever uses this website has an incredibly easy time editing all of the content, we need to make use of variables. And the way that we can add variables is, first of all, we need to turn this into a component. So Control-Alt-K, create. We have a component right here. And then we can add a variable, a link variable to this, so that whenever somebody clicks on this menu item option, they see this link field in the right panel, and they can easily add their links in whatever way they like. And we will also create a variable for the title, like so that they can also switch up the title. So yes, that is it. We have the title and the link variable. So what I'm going to do next is Control D this, and then I'm just going to rewrite this content, just like randomly filling it out, just like so. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the main parent frame and set the height to fit content, like so. And I think the top bottom padding is not enough, so I'm going to bump this up to 8:8 top bottom padding. Yeah, was it? I don't know what the top bottom padding was. Okay, it was 4:4, and then right left was it was 4:4 for top bottom, and the right left was 8:8, just like so. Okay, so that looks good. And we also need to make sure that we have a hover state for this. So I'm going to add a hover state here, and then add a fill here of yellow, so that whenever somebody hovers on this item, they see yellow color. But as you can see here, this looks a little weird and we're seeing a lot of grays. So in order to eliminate that issue, what I'm going to do is add a 0 yellow here. So this is essentially the same yellow color that we used here. The only difference is that here the opacity of the yellow color is set to 0. So it actually goes from 0 yellow to like 100 yellow. So it's both of these items have the same color, so the transition is going to be a lot smoother, because before we were going from like no color at all to yellow, so it was a huge transition, which is why we were seeing a lot of those grays. But now we don't have that issue, thankfully. So yep, this looks all right. And yep, that is pretty much it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a part of this. So I'm going to Control X this, Control V this here, and then change the type to absolute, and then simply adjust the position. And the reason why I cannot see this is because the main parent frame has the overflow set to wait, where the hell is, okay, overflow is, it must be set to visible. And then here we need to place this somewhere around here, and then we are also going to give this main parent frame a border, so just a simple black border. So that looks all right. And I'm going to call this open, and then here I'm going to call this state closed. So in the closed state, we are not going to see the menu drop down at all, so I'm going to set the visibility to no. And then all that we have to do is connect it. So what we will say is, when somebody clicks on this button, they should go here, and then when somebody clicks on this button, they should go over here. And as you can see, it works perfectly. I'm just going to select both of these text layers and set it to user select none, so that we aren't able to, so that users don't like accidentally select the text while clicking on the button. Just makes for a better user experience. And yep, I think that looks fine. The transition is going to be instant, by the way. And yep, I think that looks all right. I'm just going to adjust the spacing a little bit. All right, perfect. So what we are going to do now is come back to this header level, and I am going to turn this entire navbar into a component. So Control Alt K, nav content, hit enter. So I'm going to change the variant here to closed, and I'm going to call this desktop closed. And then I'm going to add another variant, go here and change the variant to open. And I'm going to call this desktop open, just like so. And I am going to do one additional thing that the marketplace review team asked me to make, is that basically this looks good, right? This looks perfectly fine. However, when somebody clicks on that logo, they should go back to the home page, yes, but that click should also encourage the menu button to, like, the menu items to close. So that's just something I forgot, but make sure that you always do so. So basically, first of all, we need to link this logo to home, and then we need to add a little interaction on desktop open. So we need to say, when somebody clicks on the logo, they should go to desktop closed variant. So L on my keyboard, and I'm going to connect it here. And so now when somebody clicks here, not only are they going to go back to the home page, but this is also going to close up. Yep. So this is also going to close up. This just makes for a better user experience overall. So just a pro tip for you here. And yep, that looks great. That looks great. If we preview it, and we are not seeing the menu item frame, and that is because, so on the layout template level, the navbar is set to overflow clip, but I'm going to make this overflow visible. And now if we come back here, we are going to see our menu. And by the way, as you can see, I can select this logo text, which I do not like. So I'm just going to go here and basically add a style here of user select none, the same thing that we did for the button text. And that is pretty much it for the header. So the very next thing that we are going to do is design our hero section. So instead of us having to basically go in section by section, add this grid and add this background, what we are going to do is add both of these things in the layout, at the layout template level, so that if somebody wants to, you know, switch up the styling of the grid or just switch up the pattern of the background or the background color, they can do it once and it's going to apply to the entire website. And that is exactly what we want, to make the website like stupid simple for visitors to edit. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go at the layout template level and then change the fill to soft white, just like so, because then it's going to change everywhere. And then I am going to go to insert and I'm going to type in a pattern and then add a grid pattern here, change the position to absolute and then pin it to all sides, just like so. And then I will also make sure that this has a high Z index, the nav bar. So I'm going to give this a Z index of 5 maybe, so that it always stays on top of everything. And this BG image is Z index 1, which is exactly what we want. We want this to be behind all of our content. And I am going to see what opacity I have going on for this. So I have an opacity of 0.05 and a scale of 133%. I'm going to make the same change here, so 0.05 opacity, and then the scale is going to be 133%, and that looks perfectly fine. As you can see here, this looks good. We are in the clear. So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to start creating this hero section. So before we can start designing our hero section, we are going to set our website up with the correct structure. So I'm going to hit F on my keyboard, draw a frame here, and then change its width to fill. And I'm going to call this main. And then I'm going to add a layout here, vertical distribute start, remove all gap, and just adjust the size. I'm going to get rid of the fill. And what I'm also going to do is give this a Z index of 2, because we want this, like all of our content within our main container, to be on top of the background grid. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw another frame within the main frame and then change the width to fill. And something really weird is happening. I don't know why this is above the nav bar. Let me just check. So this is Z index 5 and this is Z index 2. What the hell? Why is this above? What? Okay, so I'm just going to keep this at Z index 1. I don't know why this just went above the nav bar, but anyways, this second frame I'm going to remove its fill as well, and I'm going to call this section. I'm going to give it a layout as well, change this into a stack, distribute start, and then remove all of the gap. And then what I'm going to do is hit F on my keyboard again and then draw another frame here, and then change this to fill, and then remove the fill color, and then I'm going to call this content. So I'm going to name this hero section. This is the content. I'm going to change this into a stack as well, distribute start, remove the gap. Yeah, I'm going to select the main frame, change the height to fit content. I'm going to select the hero frame, change the height to fit content. So we are going to first type in the main heading that you see here. So I'm going to press T on my keyboard and then type in "We offer jaw-dropping," and I'm going to give this a style of heading 1. And as you can see, it is so on top of the frame. So I'm going to select this content frame. Actually, no. We are going to apply top padding, and that is going to be applied at the section level. So I'm going to select the section frame, go here, and then give it a top padding of 150 pixels. And then I'm going to select this content frame and then add a max width here. similar to what we did with the nav bar of 1200, and then give it a padding of right left 24, and then yeah, 24. That looks all right. And now what we are going to do is we are going to be creating these colorful boxes. So I'm actually just going to duplicate this, so Control D, and I'm going to call this brand design. Yep, brand design. I'm going to change the style to heading 2, and then I'm going to wrap this in a stack, so Control Alt and Enter, change the width to fit content, and then give it a padding of top bottom 4 4, or I think it was 8 8, and then right left 12 12, I think. And then I'm going to give it a fill of, what is it, okay, blue, so blue. And then the text is going to be soft white, so soft white. And what I'm going to do is I am going to change this into a component, so Control Alt K, and I'm going to call this colorful block. And the reason I turned this into a component is because we need to be using these blocks multiple times. So I'm going to give this a variable, a color variable, and I'm also going to create a variable for the content, just so we can come back here and then duplicate it and then switch up the colors and the content. So this is going to be yellow, and then this one is going to be pink, so yellow and then pink. That looks great. And then this one is going to be called packaging design, and then this one is going to be called social post design, so social post design. And what I am going to do is to give it a little bit more personality. I'm going to rotate it, so rotate it by -2. This one is going to be 2, and then -2. I'm not sure what, let me just check this real quick. Yeah, -2, 2, and then -3. Okay, so this last one is -3. That looks great. Now what we can do is we can wrap all 3 of these blocks in a separate stack and then remove the gap so that they always stay together within the same stack. I'm going to set the overflow to visible because we don't want any clipping going on here. And I'm going to call this block stack. And that looks all right. The next thing we are going to do is create these playful little review bubbles. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to hit F on my keyboard, draw this frame. I'm literally just eyeballing the size for now. Give this a color of white, and I'm going to round out the corners. I'm going to call this review bubble, and I'm going to add a layout here. Distribute, start, vertical, remove the gap for now, and then I am going to hit T on my keyboard and then type in our review here, which I'm actually going to just copy the review from here. So Control C, Control V, change the width to fill, and then give it a style of body regular, just like so. And then I'm going to change the height to fit content, and I am going to add some padding here, so 12 is fine. And then I have another pro tip for you guys. Basically, whenever you have text like this that has like singular 1 or 2 words that are just hanging out in the last line and they're leaving like a lot of empty space right here, what I need you to do is add a balance property to this, so text and then balance, because for you to be accepted into the marketplace, you need to make sure that you don't have any orphan words going on. This is what they call them, orphan or widow words. So yes, now it looks much more balanced. And then what I'm going to do is I am first of all going to turn this into a component because we are going to be using this bubble again and again. So Control Alt K, hit enter, and now I'm going to give this a border, which by the way, you need to make sure that you are linking up your color styles as much as you can. So that looks all right. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create this cute little tail for the bubble. So I'm just going to use the pen tool for this. So P on my keyboard, and I'm just going to like zoom in and kind of draw this tail shape. So maybe something like this. I am going to change the color of the stroke to soft black, and then the width could be 0.5. And then what I'm going to do is double click here and then add a point here and then add a point here. And then I'm just going to drag these points to make this. Basically what I'm trying to do is like try to create like a bubble shape. I'm going to select this point, increase its radius, select this point, increase its radius. And as you can see, we have a little tail. Obviously this does not look as good as this because I spent a lot of time on this, but this is basically how I created it, just adjusting the radius and the these points. And yeah, if you spend more time on this, you will come up with something similar. I'm just going to give it a fill of white. And then what you also need to do, because this is what Framer recommends, is you need to make sure that every path that you draw or every SVG that you have in your file is housed within a frame. So we are going to add a frame to this, add a stack to this. So Control Alt Enter, and then change this to, I'm just going to say width fit content, height fit content, and then the overflow is going to be visible. And I'm going to call this bubble tail, and I'm going to Control X this, and I'm going to Control V it here, and then change the position to absolute. And I'm literally just going to drag it and place it where I want to place it, and change this parent's overflow to visible. And that looks all right. And then as you can see, we see this line which we don't want to see, as we don't see it here. So what I'm going to do is literally draw a frame to mask this. So just like so, place it here. Sorry, let me just Control X it, Control V it here, change the direction to absolute. I'm going to call this mask. And what I'm going to do is bring this here and just place it right here. And as you can see, that looks perfectly fine. Now I'm going to click on vector, click on star, and then literally just draw a few stars here. And then I am going to give this a fill of mustard. So Control D, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to select all of these, add them in a stack, vertical, change the distribute to start, change the gap to 6 maybe, and then I'm going to adjust the spacing of this to maybe 12. 12 looks all right. And then I'm going to create another variant. And for this variant, I'm going to switch up the direction of the bubble tail. So I want this to be on the left side. So I'm going to select this bubble tail, and instead of -9 here, I'm going to say -9 on this side. And I'm going to select this path, right click, and then select flip horizontally. And then I'm going to bring this mask here. As you can see, yep, that looks all right. And then I'm going to create a little variable for the text, because again, we want the users to be able to easily edit this. And that is basically it. Now what I'm going to do is Control X this from here, and then inside of the content frame, I'm going to Control V it. And why is it, wait a second. So I am going to give this a z index of 2, the main frame, and yeah, that looks fine now. And what I'm going to do is Control D to duplicate this review, and then I'm going to switch up the variant to variant 2. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically house all 3 of these elements in the same stack. So Control Alt Enter, change the direction to horizontal, just like so. and then I'm going to change the overflow to visible because again we don't need any clipping. And what I'm also going to do is wrap this in an additional stack, change the distribute to, I think center looks good. So this like holder frame, which by the way I'm going to call this holder, and then this one as well, or should I call this review holder. I'm going to change the height to fill, and then I'm going to align this one to the top just like so, and then this one fill, height fill, this one is going to be aligned to the bottom. And yep, that looks perfectly fine. And I'm going to make sure I select both of these holders and set the overflow to visible. Perfectly fine. And then I can also go here and then just switch up the content. So I'm just going to copy the content from here. So Control C and then Control V here. And that's it. That's how simple it is for a user to switch up the review content or any of the content on this website really. So that looks all right. So next what we are going to do is we are going to create this stunning marquee. So first of all, what I have done here is I do not have these like random items scrolling in a marquee. As you can see here, these are not random icons, sorry, random elements. These are actually CMS items that are linked to this marquee so that people don't have to go inside of this marquee to like change the content, but they can just literally go here and switch up the content inside of their like projects collection, and the content will automatically update here. So yes, you have to think from a user's point of view. So let's build it out. So what I'm going to do is hit F on my keyboard, draw a card like this. I'm going to call this project card. I am going to get rid of the fill, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit F again, draw a frame. This one I'm going to name image, and then I am going to make sure that this is set to layout. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this parent frame, and for now it can have like a fixed width of like 288, and then the image within could have a width of fill, and then a height of 377 like so, and then the parent is going to be height fit. Okay, and then I'm going to select the image and round out its corners. So I think it was 12. Yep, that makes sense. And what I'm going to do is turn this into a component. So Control Alt K, hit enter, and then create a variable for this image. And now what we are going to do is we are going to basically connect this component to our CMS. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on the insert button at the top left, and I'm going to drag and drop this collection here, change the direction to horizontal, and I'm going to go within the layers and literally just delete both of these elements, and we are going to have a project card here. So Control X this here, and then within the project layer Control V this here, and that is it. Now we are going to connect this image to the main image, and that looks perfectly all right. I'm going to click here and then adjust the gap to 16 looks good, and that looks fine. What I am now going to do is I'm going to wrap this in a frame, and I'm going to call this second row, because this was middle row and this was just the text layer. So we have our second row here, and I am going to add an effect here. So on the right panel, effects, and I'm going to add a ticker here. I'm going to keep the speed 40. Yep, and I'm going to make sure that this gap here matches the gap that we matches the spacing that we had between our cards. So between our cards we have a gap of 16, And so second row here, we are going to have a gap of 16 as well. And then if we preview this, you can see that we have a little problem. We have a lot of problems. First of all, let's fix this. We can see that this is cutting off here, but we don't want it to cut off, right? Because here this doesn't cut off. This just like spreads out wide. So what we want to do here is we want to go back here, and I am going to remove the max width setting from this container, and I'm going to add it just to this like middle row. And actually I think I'm going to wrap both of these in a stack, set the gap to 24, and I'm going to call this one top row, and overflow will be visible again. And then I'm going to add the max width at this level so that it only applies to the top row. And then as you can see here, now this looks perfectly fine. I am also going to adjust the spacing here, so 64. And then I'm going to select the content frame, change the height to fit so that it adapts to our content. And then I am going to select the second row where we have applied the ticker, and I want a little bit of fading to be going on, similar to what we have here. So I'm going to apply a mask here. So I'm going to add a style, I'm going to add a mask, rotate this mask like this at 90 degrees, and then I'm going to add a point at 15, a point at 100, and then this one is 0, and then right here I'm going to add a point at 85, and then I'm going to make this end one alpha 0, and that's it. That is literally it. As you can see here, our marquee looks great, and yep, I think that looks fine. Another thing that we are going to do is we are going to set this card to fill, and then we are going to set this to fill as well, and then this to fill as well. And we are also going to want to make sure that inside of this project card component, the width and the height are locked, so that this image always maintains its aspect ratio when the screens are like sized up and down. And as you can see now, this works perfectly fine. Now we do have a little issue with the logo, which I'm like trying to figure out why it's like aligned weirdly. So inside of the layout template, okay guys, so for some like weird reason, I cannot select the nav bar here, although I literally have the Z index set to like a high value. I don't know what is going on, but what I'm going to basically do is I'm going to remove the Z index from here, set it to 1, and then I'm just gonna add Z index to the hero section level. So or maybe the content level, so just like this. And yeah, now I'm able to select the nav bar again, and I'm just going to see why is this misaligned. Okay guys, so for some odd reason, I think I accidentally turned the nav content frame into a component, whereas I actually had to turn the nav bar into a component, which I'm just going to like solve. So I'm going to click detach instance here, and then set the nav bar to a component, hit enter, create the variant again, and then set this to open, and this just add the interactions here, and then make sure that this is set to instant. and then I'm just gonna like pin this way. Okay, so now we are in the clear. Now this looks perfectly fine. All right, and we added Z index. Okay, the Z index is not working because on the main frame we have added Z index of 1. So I'm just going to right click and remove it. And as you can see now, this now works well, I think. Yep. Now I just want to give you a pro tip here. Basically, when you go and see select the marquee, the layer that you have set as a marquee, and you click on the sticker, you will see that we currently have these like speed values going on. However, once you optimize this for tablet and phone, which I would have shown, but this video would have gotten too long, but whenever you go and optimize this design for tablet and phone, which is by the way your assignment, you need to make sure that the speed value and the hover value is set to 0, because Framer strongly recommends that on mobile, especially on mobile, the tickers must be converted to either slideshows or carousels, and the easiest way to make that happen is just like make this like 0 and then make this 0, and then make sure the draggable is set to yes, so that on mobile devices people can like easily scroll this way, and it's just overall better for user experience. I don't think I've done this for tablet. Yeah, I have not done that for tablet, just for mobile. So yes, I would strongly recommend that you do the same. And that brings me towards the end of this video. I hope you guys learned something new. I hope this was able to inspire you in some way. If you found this helpful, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below, because these type of videos take a lot of effort and energy to make. So yes, if you do have any questions, make sure that you ask them in the comments and I will do my best to respond, and I will see you guys in the next video. All right, goodbye.